Have you ever wondered if there's knowledge so dangerous that it was intentionally hidden from humanity? The ancient Book of Enoch, a text not included in most Bibles, tells a story of exactly that. It reveals that a group of angels, known as the Watchers, descended to earth and shared secrets that God had forbidden. They taught humanity how to forge weapons, the secrets of astrology, the arts of magic, and much more. But this wasn't a gift. This knowledge was powerful, dangerous, and deeply corrupting. Tonight we're going to uncover this hidden knowledge of the fallen angels. We'll explore how it shaped early humanity and why God considered it a threat so serious that it triggered a judgment that would reshape the world. The Great Flood. The story begins with the Watchers, a group of angels whose original mission was simply to observe creation, not to interfere. But they broke God's law. They descended from the heavens and began teaching humanity things they were never meant to know. This wasn't a neutral exchange of information. It was an act of rebellion with devastating consequences. Their teachings corrupted humanity, creating a profound moral and spiritual imbalance that threw the world into chaos. Understanding this forbidden knowledge is key to unlocking some of the Bible's greatest mysteries. It helps explain the cryptic reference in Genesis chapter 6 to the Nephilim, the offspring of angels and human women. It sheds light on why sin spread so rapidly across the earth before the flood, reaching a point where God saw that every inclination of the human heart was only evil all the time. And it reveals how divine judgment operates not just on a physical level, but on a spiritual one as well, restoring balance to a corrupted cosmos. This isn't just an old story. It's a crucial piece of the puzzle to understanding the spiritual dynamics that shape our world. So what exactly was this forbidden knowledge? The Book of Enoch provides a detailed list, categorizing the secrets shared by the Watchers. One of the first things they taught was metallurgy and the art of making weapons. Suddenly, humans could forge swords, shields, and armor. This didn't lead to progress. It led to an escalation of violence and warfare on an unprecedented scale. They also revealed the secrets of sorcery and magic, forbidden arts, spells, and enchantments that allowed humans to manipulate natural and spiritual forces they didn't understand. This was a direct violation of depending on God, encouraging humanity to seek power from other sources. The Watchers taught astrology and celestial knowledge, giving humans the ability to predict seasons, eclipses, and the movements of the stars. While this might sound harmless, it was knowledge beyond human comprehension at the time, and it led to worship of the cosmos instead of the Creator. Even things like cosmetics and vanity were introduced. The angels taught humans about seduction, beauty enhancement, and deception through appearance. Chapter 8 of the Book of Enoch states that this knowledge led the whole earth into corruption. This powerful statement shows that knowledge is never morally neutral. The intent behind it and the way it's used are what truly matter. The Watchers' intent was to corrupt, and they succeeded. Before the arrival of the Watchers, the human race was in a state of relative innocence. But their teachings introduced a poison into the human spirit. Pride and arrogance began to flourish as people gained powers they hadn't earned. A deep-seated desire for power and manipulation took root, replacing humility and trust in God. Violence and warfare became commonplace, and humanity was plunged into spiritual blindness, unable to see the truth of their own corruption. This corruption was personified by the Nephilim. As the offspring of the Watchers and human women, they were a terrifying combination of angelic power and human ambition. They weren't just giants in stature. They were giants in influence, wielding their supernatural knowledge and strength to rule the earth with violence and tyranny. The world became their playground for destruction. When God looked down upon the earth, he saw that it was not just morally flawed, but spiritually contaminated to its very core. The corruption had seeped into the human bloodline and the very fabric of society. The situation was so dire that a simple course correction was no longer possible. A reset was needed. This total corruption is what prompted the drastic and divine intervention of the flood. The consequences of the Watchers' rebellion were not just earthly, they were cosmic. A spiritual corruption began to spread through generations, a stain that couldn't be easily washed away. The sacred boundaries between heaven and earth were violated, creating chaos in the cosmic order. Humans were given knowledge they were not spiritually or morally prepared to handle, like giving a child a loaded weapon. The New Testament echoes the severity of this sin. Jude 6 warns of the angels who kept not their first estate, and are now reserved in everlasting chains under darkness until the final judgment. 2 Peter chapter 2 also confirms this, describing how God did not spare the angels when they sinned, but cast them down to hell, committing them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until the judgment. Even other angels were involved in enforcing God's decrees. Archangels like Uriel, Michael, and Gabriel were tasked with carrying out the judgment against the Watchers and cleansing the earth. This illustrates a crucial point. Divine law applies to everyone, even the most powerful celestial beings. No one is above the law of God. The Nephilim were the living, breathing embodiment of this forbidden knowledge. They were the terrifying result of the unholy union between angels and humans. They possessed abilities that were both human and angelic, allowing them to wield supernatural skills for dominance and control. Their very presence on earth was a corrupting influence, accelerating the spread of sin and lawlessness. The Book of Enoch explains that the existence of the Nephilim and their violent reign were primary reasons why the flood became necessary. Their destructive nature had pushed humanity past the point of no return. Their story serves as a chilling and timeless warning. When power and knowledge are pursued without obedience to divine law, the only possible outcome is destruction. They are a monument to the dangers of unchecked ambition. This raises a profound question. Why was this knowledge hidden in the first place? It wasn't an arbitrary decision by God. He intentionally limited human access to certain kinds of knowledge for our own protection. Some knowledge is simply divine property, belonging to God alone, because only He has the infinite wisdom to wield it correctly. He knew that uncontrolled knowledge in the hands of finite, fallible beings would lead to chaos, pride, and ultimately self-destruction. Spiritual and moral maturity must always come before greater understanding and power. Humanity had to learn to walk before it could run. Genesis chapter 6 shows us the result. The human race could not handle this knowledge responsibly. It only amplified their worst tendencies. By removing access to this knowledge through the judgment of the flood, God wasn't just punishing. He was preserving the integrity of His creation and giving humanity a chance to start over, free from this corrupting influence. Even though these events took place thousands of years ago, the legacy of the fallen angels' forbidden knowledge still echoes in our world today. Myths and legends of giants, demigods, and powerful magical arts persist in cultures all across the globe, hinting at a forgotten history. More importantly, the same human curiosity that was exploited by the Watchers is still part of our nature. We constantly seek power and knowledge that may be beyond our moral and spiritual readiness. Think about the ethical dilemmas we face with modern technology, from genetic engineering to artificial intelligence. The story of the Watchers serves as a critical lesson in the importance of obedience, humility, and accountability. It is a timeless warning that our intelligence and our capabilities must always be guided by a strong moral compass. Knowledge without wisdom is a recipe for disaster. So what is the ultimate revelation from this ancient story? The fallen angels shared forbidden knowledge with one goal in mind: to corrupt humanity, to create the monstrous Nephilim, and to disrupt God's divine order. The lesson for us is crystal clear. Knowledge pursued without obedience to God's will always leads to destruction. We also see that God's judgment is not random. It is inevitable, precise, and just. And finally, it proves that spiritual laws are as real and enforceable as physical ones. They are eternal, and violating them has severe consequences. If you want to continue exploring the hidden mysteries of the Bible, make sure to subscribe for our weekly deep dives. And don't forget to watch our full playlist on the mysteries of the Bible revealed to uncover more secrets about angels, the Watchers, the Nephilim, and the knowledge they left behind. In our next episode, we'll dig even deeper into the specifics of what the Watchers taught in the forbidden teachings of the Watchers, lost knowledge of heaven. Thanks for watching.